answers. It is 2 minutes past 6. I'm just going to turn my video off, guys, so I can turn my screen around. But I'm here. I'm just on the other side. Okay, so lots of you were on the right track with question 1. You got great factors that were coming in. So you saw that the factors that we were going to break this 20 up into. Oh, hello. We are going to break this 20 into our factor pairs. So 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 5 and 4. And lots of you were able to see that you wanted to use the 2 and 10. Okay, because I saw a lot of that coming through. Now we're dealing with -8, which means we want -10 plus 2, which will give us our -8. We can do this the crisscross way, the way that we've learned with our grade 10 trinomials. But remember, when the coefficient of that first term is 1, we want to make our life as easy as possible. Okay, so we're going to have our x, and that's going to be equal to 0. And then we know we've got our -10 that we've just found from our factor pair, and we've got our +2. So lots of people got to this point over here. And then answers that came in was that x is -10 and x is 2. But remember, this whole bracket is equal to 0. So we now need to say x minus 10 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x is either equal to 10 or x is equal to -2. Okay, so that was our first one. How did we find that? Did anyone land up getting that one correct? Or did you get a little bit correct and then a little bit wrong? How did that first question go? Oh, Angel, nice job. Of course, yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Okay, and remember, if you didn't get it correct, we got to do it step by step. So maybe it was just that you messed up your signs. And so then just be careful. Okay. Okay. Number 2, what type of factorizing am I going to do with x squared minus 16? What am I going to do?
Dots, ma'am.
Yes, I'm going to do dots. Yes. Okay. I love the capitals. Yes, because we scream dots. Okay. So when we do dots, we have x plus 4, x minus 4, and that is equal to 0. And so therefore x plus 4 is equal to 0, or x minus 4 is equal to 0. And so x is equal to -4, or x is equal to 4. How did that one go? Good. Okay. That one should have felt a little bit easier than number 1. Ah, good. Okay. So we should be feeling good from last week. Now what we're going to do, I love the surprise that you got it. You should be proud of yourself. It's great. What we're going to do from here is we're going to sort of keep this concept going. We're going to carry on with these equations, and we're going to carry on with quadratic equations. Who can tell me how we know something is a quadratic equation? What do we look for in the equation?
It has to have at least 2 or 3 answers, ma'am, if I'm not mistaken.
So close. So it would have 3 answers if it was cubic. How would I know that it's quadratic? Is that Canva? Yes, tell me.
Yes, 4 terms.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I could have 2 terms though. Like here I have 2 terms and here I have 3 terms.
If it's equal to 0.
But I could also have a linear equation equal to 0. I could have 2x plus 6 equal to 0. Siamo?
Is it 4 terms?
No, because I could have 2 or 3. I could have 4.
Is it when you get 2 answers?
I will definitely have 2 answers, but that's our final thing. How do we know from the question that it's a quadratic? Siamo, are you going to try again?
4 answers?
No! Okay. I'm going to try and give you a bit of a hint. What is there that's in common between this and this? There's something that's in common between those 2 equations.
X squared.
Yes! We got there. Okay, guys, just remember to put your hands up when you have a question, hey? Okay, so, when you want to answer. x squared. So we know that it's a quadratic equation when there is an x squared. And when there's an x squared, we know, cool, we're going to have to factorize and we want everything onto one side and we want to make it equal to 0. Okay, so at the moment, I've been making sure everything has been equal to 0. So you haven't had to move anything or identify what it is, but now you're going to have to start getting there. So before I move into today's lesson, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different that we're going to do today, just so that we're all like on the same page. We're going to try something new with you guys. You're the first class to try this new thing, so you can feel super special. But what's going to happen is we're going to have our normal lesson till like 6:30, and we're going to chat and do as we normally do, and we work through things. And then I'm going to give you your brain teaser, which we always give you. And then I'm going to give you an option to move into 2 different rooms. So if you struggled with today's lesson, or if you're new and so you haven't done the work yet, you're going to move into one room. And if you on today's lesson nice and easy, you're going to move into another room. So we're going to try, and then we're going to meet back here at the end and do a little poll to see how you found it. Okay, so let's try. We can only try. All right, let's get going. So we are going to have a look over here. So we're going to make it, we're stepping it up a little bit. I've kept it to the point where I've kept everything on the left. So you haven't had to move anything. First things we know it's a quadratic because of that x squared. That x squared is telling me that it is a quadratic equation. And if it is a quadratic equation, we are going to get 2 answers. Okay, so those are the important things that we have to do. What type of factorizing would I have to do with what we have up on the board at the moment? Just remember, if you want to answer, chuck your hand up, use the little hand up emoji for me. What type of factorizing can I do with this question? Yes, Angel.
Dots again, man.
Dots?
The trinomial.
Yes, it's a trinomial. Okay, it's a trinomial. What does the T stand for in dots? Kazimla?
Trime.
No. Canva?
Difference of 2 squares.
It stands for 2. Difference of 2 squares means that there are 2 terms. So difference means that there's a minus sign. Of 2 means that there are 2 terms, and S stands for squares. They both are square numbers. So this is definitely not dots because they are not 2 terms. We've got 3 terms happening over here. Okay, so we're going to do, as Angel said, we are going to do a trinomial over here. And now this is one of those tougher trinomials because we have got a coefficient in front of that x squared. Okay, so when we have a tougher trinomial, you've got those 2 different options that we spoke about. You've got the crisscross method and you've got the grouping method. So I want you to do whichever one you're comfortable with. You will get to the same answer if you have done them correctly. And just try your best with this one over here. Canva, how can I help? Or is your hand just up from before? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I also love crisscross. Crisscross is my favorite. Okay, so give it your best go. Remember, think about what's going to go on the left. These have to be our factors that are going to make up that number over there. And then what's going to go over here, when we multiply them together, we need to get that number over there, just to help a little bit. Okay, and if you're new today and you're like, what on earth is she talking about? I've never seen this crisscross in my life. Do not panic. That is why we are going to try something halfway through this lesson. So don't stress. Okay, once you have an answer, even if it's just factorizing it for me, so not your actual answers for X yet, please put it in the chat and we can see how we are going. Let's see if this brings back some of your memories from one of our courses a couple of weeks ago. Okay, Mateo, don't worry. I'll note I'll try and but if I also just say iPhone, know that I'm talking to you, okay? Okay, so Oksa, be careful because you're not factoring in that 6. Okay, so just try your best with this one. Remember, these ones can take a little bit of time, and that's okay. I haven't seen the answer I'm looking for yet. So if you have an answer that is not what's happening up on the screen, then maybe yours is the one I'm seeking. But don't worry, we will talk through this one carefully. No. A plus sign. What do I do with a plus sign? Okay. All right, let's have a look. We do a trinomial and we have a number that's happening at that beginning, and we have a constant that's happening over here. We have to try various different things to see what is going to work. So I first have to think, what are my factor pairs of 6? I've got 1 and 6, and I've got 2 and 3. Okay, so I can either have a 1x and a 6x, or I could have a 2x and a 3x. Okay, those are my two different options for my crisscrosses over here. So just remember that when I multiply these together, I need to get this. So if I say 1x times 6x, I need to get 6x squared. So 2x times 3x, that also gives me 6x squared. Okay, so those are our different options for the left. I either can have a 1 and a, or I can have a 2 and a 3. Then we have to think, how am I going to break up this 10? So what are my factor pairs of 10? For 10, I could have 1 and 10, or I could have 2 and 5. Now we need to try and arrange these so that we can somehow get to this final answer of 11. And this is where it takes a little bit of, in time, once you've done a lot of these, they will just start getting easier. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like driving a car. It just becomes something you know how to do. But in the beginning, it's a lot of trial and error. So let's try first dealing with this factor pair and see if it gets us anywhere. Okay, if I put a 1 here and I put a 10 there, remember we multiply diagonally. So I'm going to have 6x times 1, which gives me 6x, and 1x times 10, which gives me 10x. Now, if I have 6x and 10x, do I have any hope of getting to 11x? Yes or no? If I have 6x and 10x, do I have any hope of getting to 11x? No, I could get to 16x or I could get to 4x, but I can't get to 11x. Okay, so I know that that doesn't work. So that is out. What if we tried a 10 there and a 1 there? Okay, then I would have 60x and 1x. I definitely am not going to be able to get to 11x with 60x and 1x. Okay, so let's try our 2 and a 5. And let's try our 2 and our 5 down here at the bottom, and let's see what happens. I'm going to try with this factor pair. And remember, it's all just about trial and error in the beginning. If I put my 2 over here, I'm going to get a 6x. And if I put my 5 over here, I'm going to get a 10x. I'm not going to be able to get 11. What if we flip them around? So what if we put our 5 here and our 2 here? Then I'm going to get 15x and I'm going to get 4x. Now with 15x and 4x, do I have a chance of getting to 11x? Yes. Okay. Which one would have to be positive and which one would have to be negative? I want positive 11x. Does my 15 have to be positive or my 4? Okay. So if I'm wanting a positive 11, I'm going to want to have positive 15x minus 4, because 15 minus 4 is going to give me positive 11. Okay. Which means that this one has to be minus. And oh, sorry, this one has to be plus and this one has to be minus. And once we've done that, this gives us our first bracket and this gives us our second bracket. So we've got 2x plus 5, 3x minus 2, and that is equal to 0. And that's the real hard work, is getting to that point over there. So once we've gotten to this point, life gets a little bit easier. Then we just need to say that each bracket is equal to 0. So 2x plus 5 is equal to 0, or 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So 2x is equal to 5, which means x is equal to negative 5 over 2, or 3x is equal to 2, which means x is equal to 2 over 3. Mateo, how can I help?
Ma'am, is it necessary to do the crisscross method, or should we just do it aside, maybe for writing an exam or something?
So what other method are you wanting to use with your trinomial? Are you meaning to show it on the page? Mateo, did I lose you?
No, ma'am, I was just asking if is it necessary to like add it.
No, it
No,
doesn't
ma'am, I
have
was just asking if is it necessary.
yeah, no, it's not, you don't get marks for the crisscross. So it doesn't have to be visible. It's just there for you so that you know how to work it out.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem.
Hi, Jennifer. We've got a couple of cases who are requesting the grouping method.
Yeah, sure. I just want to tackle some of these hands over here. Oyabongwa, how can I help there?
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, can you please do that grouping method?
Yes, we've just did that though. Okay, if anyone else's hands are up that are asking for grouping, can we put those hands down? Mukle, how can I help? Okay. All right, so if we're looking at the grouping method, so we've got 6x squared plus 11x minus 10. Now, guys, I'm not going to do this grouping method for every question because it's just going to become too long. So this is the last one I'm going to do the grouping method with. And then you'll need to just double check that your answers are correct. Remember, if you're struggling with what we're doing, it's all work we have done before. So it's not new work. We have done these trinomials before. And when we ask the question later, if you're struggling, that's when you know, okay, I struggled with what we're doing. And that's totally fine. Okay. All right, grouping method. We've got the 6 and we're going to multiply it by that 10. And we are going to get negative 60. And then we need to work with our factor pairs of 60. Okay, so with 60, I've got 1 and 60, I've got 2 and 30, I've got 4 and 15, I've got 3, oh no, we've already got that one. Okay, and that's enough for us already. I'm just going to write it in, stop. So I can see that with 4 and 15, I'm going to be able to get to 11. Okay, now once I've done that, all I need to do is I need to write out that step. So I'm going to say I've got 6x squared. I need that 15 to be positive and the 4 to be negative if I want negative 11x. So I'm going to have plus 15x minus 4x minus 10 is equal to 0. So that's my first step. We used the factors of 60 to find those two middle terms for us. Okay, then we're going to group the first two terms and we're going to group the second two terms. Now, when I group those first two terms, I'm looking for a highest common factor in them. The highest common factor here is 3x, and I'd be left with 2x plus 5. And then in my second two terms, I can take out a negative 2, and I would be left with 2x plus 5. Remember, with grouping, our goal is to get a common bracket. If we don't have a common bracket, we know we're doing something wrong. Take out our common brackets, we write what we are left with, make it equal to 0, and then from there, it's exactly the same as that. Okay, so the pink was looking at our crisscross method, which remember takes a little bit of trial and error in the beginning, but it does get faster, I promise. And then the green and blue method over here, we're looking at our grouping way. Okay. All right, let's try another one.
Hi, Jennifer. They
Hi
just
there.
asking that we slow down a little bit.
Okay, guys, I can't go much slower than this. We've spent almost 15 minutes on this one question, and it is work we've done before. It's not new work. It's stuff that we have done. So if you are struggling, remember, we're going to break into the breakout rooms halfway through the lesson, and it's going to go, if you're struggling with the lesson, you're going to go into one room, and if you're not struggling with the lesson, you're going to go to the other one. So just try your best, do your best with this. and just try as hard as you can while we work through these questions. Okay, so here we've got another trinomial where our coefficient is not 1. So our coefficient here is 5. And then we've got 5x squared minus 13x plus 6. And I've got 3 terms. So I know I'm going to have to do a trinomial. And so when we're going to do a trinomial, we can either do crisscross method or we can do the grouping method. That is up to you. You can choose which one you would like to use. Okay. So when you get to this point, your first goal is you wanting to think, what are my factor pairs of 5? And luckily with 5, it's a prime number. It's only 1 and 5. And with 6, I could have 6 and 1, or I could have 2 and 3. Okay. So that's important if you're doing crisscross. If you're doing grouping, then you're going to be thinking, what is the 5 times the 6? Okay. Great, Nkosi. Put it in the chat for me. I love answers. Okay, so just be careful. Just be careful that you're including your 5. Yeah. Don't stress. It takes time. It takes practice. I promise they get easier. The more you practice, the easier they get. It just takes a bit of time. Oh, Namaze, I didn't see your message earlier. I'm so happy you got it right. It's exciting. Okay, we got some answers coming in. This one should feel a little bit easier because in the last one, we had so many options with our first term and with our last term. And now 5 can only be 1 and 5 or 5 and 1. We don't have a whole bunch of other options here.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm not sure if I'm correct, ma'am, but our answer is allowed to have a fraction.
Yes, your answer is absolutely allowed to have a fraction.
Okay, ma'am.
I think we have a hand from Zinande.
How can I help, sweetheart? I think Zinande might not be connected to audio. Mrs. Shongwe, do you mind helping out there?
Let me get onto it.
Okay, let's see how these answers are going. Is this one feeling a little bit better than the last one? I'm hoping so. Okay, let's give it a try. You guys just remember to keep yourselves on mute unless you're asking a question, and then your hand needs to be up first. Cool, let's try. Let's see what happens. So with crisscross, I know I can only have 1 and 5, which makes this really nice and easy. I only could have a 1x and a 5x. Those are my only options. Awesome. Okay, now I need to break up this 6 into making, somehow I need to get this negative 13 happening in the middle. Okay, so let's try and break it up and see where things go. I'm going to try with my 2 and 3. Generally, the ones that are closer together help us, but it's not always a definite rule. It just sometimes helps. So if I put my, let's put our 2 over here, 5x times 2 is going to give me 10x. And if I put my 3 over here, 1x times 3 is going to give me 3x. And now we're on the right track because we're trying to find negative 13x. So what does that mean both of them have to have? What sign do both of them need to be? Positive or negative? If I'm trying to get negative 13x and I've got 10x and 3x, good. Okay, so I want both of these to be negative. So I want a negative 2 there and I want a negative 3 over there. Okay, once we've done that, because remember guys, when you multiply diagonally. Once we've gotten to that point over there, we've done all the hard work. That is our first bracket. That is our second bracket. So we can see now, you don't have to write the 1. If you didn't write the 1, that's fine. We've got 1x minus 2, and then we've got 5x minus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, and so then our final answers, we're going to say x minus 2 is equal to 0, or 5x minus 3 is equal to 0, which means x is equal to 2, or 5x is equal to 3, which means x is equal to 3 over 5. Who landed up getting that 100% right? Let me see with some emojis if we got this one right. Nice. Yay. Let's see if we can. It's okay, Angel. Do you know where you went wrong? Can you see at which level you went wrong? Angel, tell me, tell me at which step. Oh, Manindle, we never cry in maths. Yeah, Angel, how can I help?
So I kind of attempted the grouping method.
Okay.
But I did not get the same answer that you did.
Okay, so did you say 5 times 6, which gave you 30?
Yes.
Okay, and then you found your factor pairs of 30. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10.
Yes.
5 and 6. Okay, which ones did you choose from there?
I chose 2 and 15.
Okay, but now 2 and 15, the problem with that, this is where the grouping method can sometimes mess us up a little bit. The problem with the 2 and the 15, because you're right, I can get negative 13, but because this is a plus sign, my signs in my brackets have to be the same. And so if I have the 2 and the 15, what I land up with is a negative and a positive. And so my signs are going to be different.
Okay.
Does that make a bit more sense?
It does.
Okay, good. And so that's why we're kind of forced into using the 3 and the 10, because then my signs would be the same. Yeah, Uyabongwa, you know that you've got me wrapped around your little finger. Here I am doing the grouping method. No backbone with you guys. Okay, so I know I'm going to use the 3 and the 10. I know that they both have to have the same sign because this is a positive, and they're both going to be negative for me. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to have my 5x squared minus 3x minus 10x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now from here, we're going to group our first two terms, and then we're going to group our second two terms. When we group these first two terms, I'm going to take out an x, and so I'd be left with 5x minus 3. And over here, I'm going to take out a negative 2, and I'll be left with 5x minus 3. Now, the other thing with the grouping method is that your grouping skills have to be good, because if you're grouping wrong, these are going to fall apart. Now I've got my common bracket of 5x minus 3, so I can take it out, and then I'll be left with my x minus 2, and that takes us to that same point. Okay. Okay, guys, so we've done 2 of these. I'm going to give you our little, you're welcome. I'm going to give you a little brain teaser. It's not a hard one today, but it's quite nice. And then after that, we're going to move into rooms. Okay, I see that hands. Can I, Mateo, is it a question?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, why can't only one of them be negative? Why are they both negative?
Okay, so as soon as this sign over here is a positive, as soon as that sign before the constant is a positive, it tells us that the signs in the bracket have to be the same as each other. It's like a set rule.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Amanda?
So, ma'am, on the crisscross method, how
Yeah.
did we get 3 over 5?
So the crisscross method is just to help us get to the brackets. So all it is to get us to this point over here. It gets us these brackets. And then all we do is we write out the bracket is equal to 0, and this bracket is equal to 0, and we solve for x. So the crisscross is just to help us factorize. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to jump into our puzzle, and then we are going to jump into some rooms. So I'm just going to chuck this up here. I'm going to say that my grade 9's got this. So I expect big things from you. I want to know what the value of A, B, and C are. So when A plus B plus C is equal to D, it's the same as A times B times C. I want to know what the values for A, B, and C are. And as soon as you've got it, chuck it in the chat. First person to get it right is the winner of our day. I want all three. So I want to know what A is, what B is, and what C is. I need to have 3 numbers. Guys, you're not listening. I need to have 3 numbers. I need to know what A is, what B is, and what C is. Careful, you saying 1s and 0s. It says that they are different whole numbers. Different whole numbers. They're not the same. So A has to be a different number to B, and B has to be a different number to C. Ah, there we go. Who is our first one? Samkelo. I think Samkelo was first. Nice. It's 1, 2, and 3. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, if I have 1 plus 2 plus 3, that's going to give me 6. And if I have 1 times 2 times 3, that's going to give me 6. Yay. Nice. Okay. All right. So you were the first. Did I miss it? Okay, so we're going to jump into 2 different rooms now. So let me just pop up for a second. Oh, hold on. Let me just get an explanation up here. Okay. So what we're going to do is there are going to be 2 different rooms. There's the green room and then there's the blue room. Green room is for anyone who is new, or if you struggled with what we've done today. So if you struggled with that factorizing, you're also going to go into that green room for me. If you are, it was simple. Hey, thank you. If you totally understood the lesson today and you want to step it up a little bit of a notch, you're going to go into the blue room. Okay, so just look at these carefully. Green room, if you're new or you struggle with today's lesson, you're going to go to the green room. If you're totally fine in the lesson, you're going to go to the blue room. Okay, what's going to happen is you're going to see something that looks like this. It's going to give you 2 different options. So it'll say blue and green, and you choose which one you're going to join in. Okay, so it'll come up on the screen now. So don't stress. There's nothing stressful about it. You just choose which one you are wanting. Okay, so we've got blue and we have got green. Okay, so you should have an option.
Ma'am?
Yes, hello.
Ma'am, what if you understood, but you had a little bit, just one challenge?
If you sort of struggle at all, I would say go to the green room.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what if you knew but you understood?
Okay. If you knew but you understood and you're feeling 100% fine with it, I'm fine with you going into blue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Hi.
let's say you got confused by the first part, but then you got like used to it. And then now you got like answers correct.
Yes.
I think if you struggled in the beginning, like if you really struggled with that first question, I would go to green and just give yourself a little bit more time with it.
But I got the number 1 right there, but I'm just asking in general.
Yeah, you know, I think like unless you really want to try and step it up and try something a little bit harder. So the things that are going to happen in blue are going to be a bit harder. So if you want to do more practice of what we've just been doing, then go to green.
Okay.
Okay.